MediShare.com.
It's open enrollment season, and MediShare is a Christian healthcare sharing ministry that saves most families about $500 a month. Google MediShare and see if it is a fit for you.
Let's check the roads this morning. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time and Jim Talamonte.
Traffic is light this morning for the most part. There's a crash in Mundelein on northbound 45 for Holy Street. There are closures on Skokie Boulevard in Skokie, between Niles Center Road and Grove Street after an earlier collision. The Edens looks good. Kennedy just fine. No delays to report on the Eisenhower. There's a roadwork jam on northbound I-55 Channahon from Lorenzo Road to Blodgett due to construction. Inbound Stevenson's a little congested approaching the Ryan. Inbound Ryan, a little tight from the Stevenson to 18th Street into the roadwork zone of the Circle. About a 1-minute delay. All clear on I-57 at Bishop Ford. Tollway traffic flows freely. No delays on I-80 or Northwest Indiana. That's traffic. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560 The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next in our 1-hour heating and air conditioning weather center. Rain showers in the forecast for today, high near 50. It's currently 38. Next news coming up at 8. And Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Listen to AM 560, The Answer, online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, on TuneIn, iHeart, and radio.com. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
We want to remind everyone that tonight at 7 p.m., join us for a coronavirus pandemic special report hosted by Hugh Hewitt and Sebastian Gorka. It's an hour-long broadcast that will provide the latest information on this crisis as well as insight, from AM 560's Mike Gallagher, Dennis Prager, and reporting from the White House correspondent Greg Glugston. That's tonight at 7 o'clock right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. And again, we're going to talk a little bit on the economic health side. We spent a lot of the morning talking about the public health side, as well we should. But an important part of yesterday's briefing with the president and the entire panoply of his coronavirus response team was talking economics before Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin had to leave to go talk economics with Senate Republicans. Here's what the Treasury Secretary said about the sort of employee stimulus that the administration is conceiving. Cash in the hands of everyday Americans.
When you say a stimulus package for American workers, do you mean direct payments to Americans, or are you talking about a payroll tax holiday?
Although the president likes the idea of the payroll tax holiday, I will tell you what we've heard from many people, and the president has said we can consider this. The payroll tax holiday would get people money over the next 6 to 8 months. We're looking at sending checks to Americans immediately. And what we've heard from hardworking Americans, many companies have now shut down, whether it's bars or restaurants. Americans need cash now, and the president wants to get cash now. And I mean now, in the next 2 weeks.
How much?
I will be previewing that with the Republicans. There's some numbers out there. They may be a little bit bigger than what's in the press.
The overall number was coming in around $1 trillion, in addition to what the Senate is intent on passing that they received from the House, as McConnell explained yesterday. Mnuchin also restated the administration's commitment to backstop the airlines, seeking $50 billion out of the airlines.
I've had discussions with all the airline CEOs this week. The airline CEOs have had conversations with the Senate and the House. As the president said, I was up with a subset of the Republican senators last night. I've discussed that with them. I think, as you know, this is worse than 9/11. For the airline industry, this is they are almost ground to a halt. The president wants to make sure that although we don't want people to travel unless it's critical, we want to maintain for critical travel the right to have domestic travel.
And the president has met with fast food company executives. He's met with hoteliers and travel industry folks, some of the industries that, of course, are obviously hardest hit in the immediacy of these shutdowns around the country. Important to note, as the Wall Street Journal did, that the $50 billion rescue for the airlines looks to be structured as secured loans rather than just grant money. And that's important because the Fed also took the journal's advice yesterday in moving to relaunch its primary dealer credit facility, which was utilized during the 2008 crisis to provide liquidity to businesses. And the idea of just throwing money around as grant money that shall not be repaid, well, then you just have everybody queue up for a bailout, right? Why does one sector, one business get a bailout and another one doesn't? To do it in the way of extending credit or providing secured loans, that's a different story. And there's responsibility on the borrower side, which is a good thing, all things considered in the context of this crisis. For more on what the administration is conceiving and the arguments that are being made, as well as an assessment of the damage yet to be done, we're pleased to be joined by Steve Moore, economist, Wall Street Journal columnist, author of Trumponomics. Let's talk some Trumponomics, Steve. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hi, Dan. Hi, Amy.
So what do you like and not like from what's being bandied about by the Trump administration?
Well, first of all, I agree with what you just said, Dan. In fact, I was one of the people with Laffer and Steve Forbes urging that any relief that you give right now, it's going to be temporary. This is going to be over with in hopefully 3 months. So you want to make it a loan that has to be repaid, not a grant, where, as you said, people just line up for the free money. So what businesses need right now is you've got, millions of, companies that were financially healthy a month ago that are now going to face a total a cash crunch. And you want to make sure they have the funds to be able to meet their payroll and not to have a fire sale on their assets. So I think it's quite appropriate for the government to open up its lending window for companies that can't get a loan from a bank and that have collateral, that can actually pay back the loan. And I think that's a smart thing to do, and I think it'll prevent layoffs and bankruptcies. I do not like the idea of $1,000. By the way, is it $1,000 per household or per person
Per
or
person.
per worker?
It's pending.
Pending,
Yeah,
but it was per person, not per household.
Per person, that's a lot of money. So that's a stupid idea because the government can only give people money if it takes away money from people, right? I mean, sometimes politicians lose the most obvious laws of economics. Dan, if we're on a two-person island, it's you and me, and you're going to get $1,000. The only other person the $1,000 can come from is me, right? Mm-hmm. So we make these things too complicated. It's never smart to just give people free money. As our hero Milton Friedman used to say, there ain't no such thing as a free lunch, and there's no such thing as free money.
Yeah, but people are they're not getting paid. So many service workers that rely on tips, and
that's right.
For the foreseeable future, they're not going to have any money to pay their rent or to buy food.
That's right. So the question is, what do you do about those people? And first of all, the first thing I would do right now is do the suspension of the payroll tax, because if you do that, every single worker in America that's still getting a paycheck will get a 7% raise, and every business in America will have a 7 to 7.5% reduction in their payroll costs, and so that will have positive incentive effects. Now, the question you're raising is a good one about what do you do about people who are laid off or don't have a paycheck. And in that case, that's a tough one. Maybe, the best of all bad options is send the money out. But I want to make this very clear. That does not stimulate the economy, right? It doesn't stimulate the economy for me to take $1,000 from Dan and give it to someone else. That doesn't work, right? But it may be a short-term policy just to let people get through this. But what we need to think about, what I've been telling the White House, is what policies are we going to put in place that don't hurt the economy? Like, for example, one of the things that they want in this rescue package is paid leave so that employers have to pay people who can't work. Well, employers don't have the money to do that.
Right.
And by the way, Pelosi wanted to make that permanent. Did you know that, Dan? She wanted to make it a permanent policy. I mean, the left is trying to capitalize on this crisis to essentially pass the Bernie Sanders agenda. They want more welfare payments. They want more food stamps, more Medicaid, all of these things that actually will hurt the economy rather than help them. And I do believe we should have some policies in the very short term, Amy, to help, those people you're talking about who, let's say they work in a restaurant or they got laid off at a retail store. We want some policies to help them, but that's not a stimulus. It's not going to help the economy overall.
Right, and we've been through this before with the direct cash payment. Pelosi and Bush did it in 2008, and it doesn't work. But
point. Hold on, let me just make one quick point here.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you brought this up because I have a piece that'll be in the Wall Street Journal without laughing tomorrow saying the 2009. If you listen to the rhetoric that's going on, the narrative from liberals, they're like, well, let's do what Obama did in 2009. Now, why? That didn't work. It was the 2009 stimulus. Remember, Dan and Amy, when we spent $830 billion? That actually made the economy worse. It didn't help the economy. It inhibited the recovery. And the point I'm making is we shouldn't put in policies today that'll make it harder for the U.S. economy to recover in 2 or 3 or 5 months.
Right. No, that's right. So, understand what things are and what they aren't when you propose them. And there needs to be clarity about if we do this, here's the expected result. It's not going to be stimulative as those are as the likes of Pelosi are arguing. She thinks unemployment insurance is stimulative. But
remember she said unemployment insurance and food stamps are the best way to help the economy. Like how is giving somebody a welfare payment for not working going to cause more people to work? I mean, it's just so absurd on the face of it.
Well, another way to do this too, and this was argued by an economics professor who writing for the Cato Institute, is use the existing social welfare programs we have, expand them to provide any sort of one-time or temporary payment to families that otherwise would meet some sort of eligibility requirement. So you're just not willy-nilly sending people. Sending people making hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars, $1,000 a person. Why would you do that?
Oh, well, here's the other thing. Let's go back to Amy's point because it's an important one. How do you help somebody who has lost their job or for the next 2 months? I'm sitting at home right now. I mean, Heritage Foundation's closed down. It's going to be now. I'm lucky enough to still be able to get a paycheck. I'm working from home, but a lot of people are going to lose their jobs. Make everything alone. Make everything alone. So if people are really crunched, Amy, I wonder what you think about this. So if somebody can't get through the next couple months, give them $1,500. But you know what? When this thing is over with, you're going to have to pay back that $1,500. You know why? Because then then only people who really need the money are going to sign up for it. Now, I want Amy's. I want to know what you think of that.
That's $1,500 loan for service workers. That's a lot of money. I mean, of course they're going to take it, but pay it back? No, they're not going to pay it back. Why? I mean, our teachers are getting paid and they're not teaching, and they're not going to have to pay it back.
Well, I mean, look, if you don't do this, then everybody's going to get in line for the free money. I mean, I think everything should be a loan. Everything that we help people now with government money, by the way, government money means your money, my money, that they should have to pay that back at a low interest rate. I mean, the one thing we've got going for us right now is we have 1% interest rates. And so it's, I think, an appropriate time to borrow, but to make sure that what we're borrowing for is productive activities. You never grow an economy for paying people not to work.
Let me.
Right? That doesn't work.
Let's talk about bigger ideas than just sort of the usual Keynesian stimulus proposals.
Which never work.
Amity Shlaes and Brian Westbury had a piece of Real Clear Politics the other day arguing that this is an opportunity, like you're saying, and this is an opportunity for the left to try and expand the welfare state permanently. This is also an opportunity for us to show the American people who are confused what capitalism looks like and how incentives work. What about massively cutting, say, for example, the capital gains tax? What about moving in that direction to provide, irresistible incentive to engage in productive economic activity?
Yes. I mean, if you ask me, if I were king for a day and I could do anything to get us out of this crisis and to make sure the economy snaps back, I would just eliminate the income tax for the next year and a half. Just eliminate the income tax. That's the capital gains tax, all of it. And then, you're giving people incredible incentives to grow the economy. Businesses would snap back in a minute. What we want to see is what's called a V-shaped we're going to have a recession, no question about it. I mean, you've got, at least 20 to 30% of the economy that's shut down right now. So there is going to be a recession, and it's going to be deep and it's going to be painful. Hopefully it won't be long. And what you want is what's called a V-shape, so that as soon as it's over, the economy just soars upward. And setting in place those kinds of policies, I think, makes a lot of sense. That's not entirely different from what Laffer, Kudlow, and Forbes and I endorsed yesterday, which is the suspension of the payroll tax, because that gives think about it, that gives incentives for employers to hire people, right, because their cost of hiring a worker is lower, and it gives incentives for workers to work more because every additional dollar they make, they get to keep more of the money they earn. So, yeah, I think that those kinds of measures make a lot of sense. I just wonder whether you could get a capital gains tax cut passed right now.
No, I mean,
that's just a tax cut for billionaires.
Well, okay, but like Mitch McConnell is signaled yesterday a willingness to swallow hard and be bipartisan. Turnabout is fair play.
That's what makes me nervous.
Well, I understand,
Nancy,
but I get it.
Every idea Nancy Pelosi has is a bad idea.
I know,
So,
but my point is to say, use this opportunity to leverage back. Rather than just accept the Keynesian nonsense that you get from the usual suspects. One other thing I wanted to run by you. Yeah. Rescheduling America's debt to lengthen maturities. You talked about the interest rates. Issuing 50-year, 100-year bonds to take advantage of that.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
That's plan. Did you see the plan we put out?
No, I didn't see that aspect of it. That is part of the plan?
Yeah, so we have it's basically open up the loan window so the businesses can get loans. The second is suspend the payroll tax. Third is no expansion of welfare programs, and the fourth is to issue 50-year bonds at 1% interest rates to pay for the recovery. And that would be a good thing. I'm going to mention one other quick thing on the way out. And what I would suggest is this: that you do if you want to stop deaths, instead of shutting down the American economy, just tell people they can't drive a car for the next 3 months. Because my friend Heather McDonald at the Manhattan Institute had a very good piece noting that the number of people who die in automobiles is substantially higher than the number of people who are going to die from the coronavirus. So the actions we're taking right now are ridiculous. They're crazy. The idea, the cost to Americans in terms of lives, in terms of our incomes and everything, from shutting down the economy is orders of magnitude higher than the risk from the coronavirus. So I think we're acting crazy right now. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but it's ridiculous.
Steve Moore, economist, Wall Street Journal columnist, Trumponomics author. Steve, thanks for joining us.
Okay, guys, get through this.
Yeah, we will. He joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Listen to podcasts of Dan and Amy from the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Gold is on a run again. Experts say the coronavirus could tank global economies, so investors are heading for safe havens to avoid losing value in their IRAs, 401ks, and stocks. Don't stand on the sidelines and watch your accounts dwindle day by day. Head for safety and catch the gold rally now. Protect and grow your financial future today with a call to American Bullion, the leader in gold investments. You have valid concerns, and we have simple solutions for all needs and budgets. In fact, we specialize in first-time gold buyers just like you. Find out about American Bullion's hassle-free process to transfer any portion of your IRA, 401k, or stocks into the long-term safety of a gold IRA today. Call 800-600-4849 and ask about our free gold guide. Call 800-600-4849. Grow your financial future with the rising value of physical gold and protect yourself during this worldwide crisis. Call the leader, American Bullion. 800-600-4849.
Safety. It's so important at your industrial facility. You need to keep your personnel safe and meet OSHA requirements. One problem with your ladders, platforms, or safety guards, and you could be facing costly fines. Vans Industrial helps you meet OSHA standards to keep your employees safe.
Hi,